What's up, party people? We have been lied to by Shams. I cannot believe that JJ Redick is not actually confirmed to be the next Lakers head coach, and instead it might be Dan Hurley now. So I'm Jaya Tewari with Lakers Digest, and let's get right into all of this drama and what it would look like if Dan actually becomes the next head coach of the Lakers instead of JJ Redick. So first of all, the Lakers have officially offered Dan Hurley the head coaching position as of yesterday. Yesterday, Dan Hurley flew to LA to meet with Pelinka and Jeannie Buss, and it looks like they have officially made an offer to him. He has not accepted it yet. There's no news on if he has taken it in, but let's look at some of the numbers and what it would actually look like if he does take that offer. So, the Lakers have reportedly offered Dan Hurley a contract exceeding $100 million to become their head coach. Hurley would instantly become one of the NBA's highest paid coaches ever in Los Angeles. No surprise about the price there. To be honest, the Lakers have ridiculous amount of money. It makes sense that they are paying their next head coach a crazy amount, but I am just shocked that we've basically been played by NBA media and that JJ Redick seems to have been almost like a red herring of sorts to kind of throw us off of the Lakers' tracks. It seemed like every sign was pointing to Redick being confirmed as the Lakers' next head coach any minute, and then all of a sudden on Thursday, we get this news that it actually might be Dan Hurley instead. I know that the Lakers were obviously interviewing a ton of different people, but this seemed to kind of completely out of left field. And I just want to get into a little bit more about who Dan Hurley is, because I knew who he was, but when I heard that the Lakers were reportedly offering it to him, I had to do a little refresh. I know he's like the head coach of UConn, but what does that actually mean in practice? I know a ton about Redick, obviously, thanks to his and LeBron's podcast, but let's get into some stuff about Hurley. So apparently, focusing on the last sentence here, beyond the 17th pick in this month's draft, the Lakers have a young core of Austin Reaves, Rui Hachimura, and Max Christie that management believes can show even greater improvement under Hurley's coaching, sources says. So based on that last sentence, it looks like the Lakers are now prioritizing having a coach that can develop their younger players rather than a coach that is just going to bend to LeBron's will and is going to keep LeBron on the Lakers under any circumstances. Because before, that was kind of the strategy that the Lakers seemed to be going for, and it made sense to me. I was like, yeah, we want to get the coach that will keep LeBron. We want to draft Bronny, keep LeBron in LA. But now it seems like they've actually shifted strategies to focus more on developing their younger core of players. And if you are a Lakers Digest loyalist, you know how happy this makes me. I am honestly still pretty pro JJ Redick. If the decision somehow goes back to Redick, I would be more than happy. I think he's awesome. I think he'd do so good as the head coach of the Lakers. But I also think this is really interesting and also just aligns with another vision I have for the Lakers, in that it is so important to develop our young talent instead of just grabbing superstars whenever they come along and focusing on building a super team. I've been so adamant about our younger players, especially like D'Angelo. I know he's not confirmed to return quite yet. Fingers crossed that he does, but it's just so important for us to spend the time developing our talent pipeline because LeBron is aging out and we need to have those backup players who can lead the Lakers on and off the court. So if the Lakers think that Dan Hurley is going to be the person that has the most success developing these younger players, I am all for that. And then again, this also conflicts with the JJ Redick reports in that the Lakers have been committing to making all-NBA forward Anthony Davis a significant part of the conversation on the next head coach and want to make sure he's aligned with how a new coach plans to feature him on offense and defense, sources said. So again, going back to the JJ Redick thing, something I touched on a ton in my videos about Redick over the last few weeks is that although getting Redick would be for LeBron, the Lakers really need to make sure that this is also a coach that can eventually transition to primarily coaching Anthony Davis, because this has been said a million times. I've even mentioned it a ton already. But LeBron is retiring soon. He's aging out of the NBA, and Davis is going to have to step up into even more of a leadership role than he's already taken on. He's our future LeBron, essentially. And we really need to make sure we have a coach that is going to make sure Davis reaches his potential as a leader and as a player. And so I was making a ton of points that whoever the next coach is, they need to be prepared that they're not just a LeBron coach, but also they can focus a lot on Anthony Davis. And so if we're basing that take off of this current report that the Lakers are really involving him in the head coaching process, I'm kind of wondering if AD said something about JJ Redick maybe not being the best fit for him specifically, and it's actually AD sort of pushing for Dan Hurley over some of these other coaches, which, again, is something that is very important to take into consideration, and again is something that I fully support. Just really making sure that the new guard is new guard as in not new point guard or shooting guard, but new guard as in the whole team is happy with the next coaching decision, because they're the ones who are going to be having this coach. Even if we haven't had a coach last more than 3 seasons since Phil Jackson, we're gonna hopefully assume that the coach will last longer than just past LeBron's retirement. And in addition, going back to Dan Hurley, so from a tactical perspective, also please ignore the stupid ad on this from the ESPN screenshot, but from a tactical perspective, he's developed arguably the best offense in college basketball, predicted on off-ball movement and three-point shooting. The offensive principles he's utilized also translate well to the NBA, and I'm going to come back to the second half of that picture in just a sec, but he is so focused on offense, and that is something that the Lakers have been focused on forever. I've had my own beef with that. I think the Lakers really need to focus a bit more on defense. I'm a huge Jared Vanderbilt stan, and really wish that we focused more on defense, but considering the Lakers' love for offense and just getting off as many threes and as high a scoring of a game as possible, it does make sense that they are focusing on a coach who is just so offensively minded. Even if, again, I'm kind of feeling this Dan Hurley decision, but I do think that the Lakers do need to focus a bit more on defense, but this aligns with their current vision of really focusing on offense. And then as for Dan Hurley's sort of personality fit on the Lakers, so the biggest question about Hurley's coaching style comes from an emotional standpoint. He's notorious for his sideline histrionics toward referees and opposing crowds at times, and his practices are incredibly loud, intense, and filled with their fair share of choice words. Hurley's intensity has translated to plenty of success at the high school and college levels, and would be difficult to completely change at 51 years old, but he might have to dial it back for the NBA. So, apparently he's notorious for kind of just being a character on the court. Coaches' personalities are a way bigger part of college basketball than they are with the NBA, especially just considering the length of the NBA season. And the ability to get technical fouls. UConn actually is third, I believe, in technical fouls, basically because of Dan Hurley in first division for the NCAA. And so this is a concern, but also part of me also feels like it aligns with LA and the theatrics and drama of the fact that Lakers are Hollywood's team. We are more than just a basketball team. We are just such an entertainment agency, and that is just such an important part of the Lakers culture, just naturally being in LA. So kind of a coach that might have this level of drama that is annoying, that might technically be annoying. It also kind of makes sense for the Lakers that we would have sort of a character for a coach. Although he definitely would need to tone that down. It would make sense almost if you can catch my drift. But so that is a bit of a concern, but I think it would be a fit. Plus, it just would make for more entertaining games for everybody, as long as he's not pulling too many technicals off from refs. And then finally, this also is a big decision for Hurley himself, because if he stays, he could go on to challenge Coach K's record as the top modern coach in college basketball. And then there's other coaches that have multiple titles like Hurley does. But planning the next 20 years in college, of course, comes with no certainty, considering how much seismic change we've seen in the past 5. Hurley would need to essentially re-recruit a new roster every year, deal with the vagaries of revenue sharing and NIL, and hope the Big East can continue to swing with the 2 power conferences. So switching to the NBA is obviously a whole different ballgame than college basketball, and if Hurley stays in college basketball, he can break essentially all the records that Coach K set, and even some of John Wooden's as well, which is also a whole nother rabbit hole we could get into, because 20 years ago, the Lakers were having this exact same discussion with Coach K of Duke, who actually turned down the Lakers to go back to college basketball. And so are we going to see history repeat itself with Hurley doing the exact same? Unclear. I feel like I don't know Hurley well enough to say, but I really do like this idea, even though I was very pro JJ Redick. This makes sense for the Lakers overall, even though I had to do a lot of research into it and how he would fit, but from everything that I've seen, again, just between the offense and his ability to develop younger players, it makes a lot of sense. And then going back to his own, the whole landscape of college basketball shifting, if he stays in college basketball for so much longer, there's no telling that his school in the Big East is going to be able to still compete with the SEC and the Big Ten as they grow and explode in just the amount of money that they're getting from the NCAA with all of their TV rights. So he might almost lose clout and prominency as a head coach just not being in the SEC or the Big Ten. But again, whole different ballpark. I'm going to go back to focusing on the Lakers. One other reason that I kind of want to touch on as why the Lakers have maybe shifted to Dan Hurley instead of focusing so much on JJ Redick is because the Lakers might have internally made an official decision to draft Bronny at pick 55, and that is insurance enough that LeBron will stay with the Lakers. I think that if that decision, whether they're drafting Bronny or not, was still up in the air, they'd be pushing a lot more for JJ Redick to ensure LeBron stays and is happy. But this kind of also feels like confirmation that we're getting Bronny too later this month. So with that being said, I've been Jaya Tewari with Lakers Digest. We will be covering so much of the Dan Hurley and the rest of the head coaching news as it continues to break. Make sure to subscribe to the rest of our channel. We have great takes on Dan Hurley from our other analysts as well. So again, just be sure to subscribe, and I will see you very soon for more Lakers updates. See you later.